Hello and a very warm welcome back to the channel of nonsense. We start today's portion of nonsense with a quick brain teaser. What does the name of a 51-year-old Japanese-built family hatchback, that one, have in common with a taco cat? Are we going to focus? I think we focused. Hooray, finally. They're both palindromes, because if you read Civic backwards, it still says Civic. If you say taco cat backwards, it still says taco cat. It's really interesting, that, isn't it? It's from the brilliant card game Exploding Kittens, best card game in the world. It will break up your family and your friendship groups. It's well worth investing in. But anyway, let's find out if the all-new Honda Civic is any good. Explosive feline analogies aside, this is the new 11th generation Honda Civic, and I'm not really overstating things when I say this car marks the biggest generational leap between the old and the new that I've ever seen in the car world. It is a huge leap on in terms of quality, in terms of feel from the previous version. I've been living with it for a week, so I'm going to take you through what I like and what I don't like about it, and why I think it's definitely outgolfed the Golf for the money. Let's get cracking. In my previous life working at Drive Tribe, I actually ran the previous generation version of this, albeit in Type R form, for 6 months. And I was one of the few people that actually liked the look of that car, and don't worry, I've got a Type R version coming in a few weeks. There'll be another video on that on the channel in probably about a month's time. But this definitely looks better. The old Civic was all angles, it was trying to be futuristic, it had a lot of fake plastic vents, and now I think it looks quite dated. This is smoothed over, it's got these nice folds on the bonnet, it's just very sort of stormtroopery in white, but I think that's quite a cool thing. So Honda's toned it down, but I think made it look posher at the same time, and there's some quite interesting details around the side which I'm going to point out about now. Although it's not really bigger than the previous version, the wheelbase, that's the bit between the back wheels and the front wheels, is 35mm longer, so that should give you more interior space, and it just makes it look more executive. Honda's also played around with the roofline. Look at this A-pillar, it almost starts halfway down the car, and it's got a coupe-ish roof which looks a bit like the original Audi A7, and I just think again it looks quite interesting. It looks quite cool, and you can't see this from there, but I'll cut some shots in. But Honda is very proud of the fact it's used laser brazing, which is apparently something you can do on your pubes as well, to minimize the gap between the roof and the side panels to make it look neater and more premium, so it's a bit less baggy basically in the build quality department. You also can't see this, but they've widened the track, that's the width between the left and right wheels, so it looks a bit butcher without actually being wider. The wheels are just more pushed out towards the corners, which makes it look sportier and probably bodes well for that Type R version. I think it's round the back really though where the Civic looks at its most modern. The taillights and this boot lip spoiler have all designed to be slipperier than an otter's suppository. It's all about aerodynamics because you can only get it with a hybrid engine, and we'll get onto that in a bit. I do think the taillights look like they've been ripped off a Dodge Charger though. Tell me in the comments if you think I'm wrong or right. But yeah, I think it looks modern, I think it looks neat. The one downside is the colour choices. It's very Honda, a little bit limited, although there are some bright ones. You've got white, black, red, blue and a grey is the free one. Might have missed one out, but yeah, it's a little bit Tesla that, isn't it? Bit dull. No electric boot. You do get a reversing camera as standard on entry-level sport models and this top spec advanced one. Golly, consumer advice. Keep going. The boot, 410 litres. That is about 30 litres more than you get in a Golf and Audi A3s and things like that. And having lived with the previous version of this, it was really good for getting prams in. The boot isn't quite as deep as in the previous car, and it's lost about 10-20 litres, probably because it's a hybrid now and there's a battery under there. But it's still a massively big space, and you've got the classic side-folding parcel shelf thing. If I was Matt Watson 5 years ago, I would have played that like an accordion, but I'm not. Instead, I'm going to show you what the insides looks like. Or the engine. Let's do the engine next. Really organised today, can you tell? Years ago, I was at an event with the MD of Honda UK, and he said something interesting. He said, Honda isn't a car company, it's an engine manufacturing company. And I thought, that's bullshit. My kids can't get to school riding a MotoGP V4, just cube. But anyway, things have changed because there is only one engine choice with the new Civic, and it's a 2-litre petrol with 2 electric motors. It is a self-charging hybrid, but it's actually a really good one. 184 horsepower, 2 electric motors, one is a generator, one actually powers the front wheels, and it works really well. It's capable of up to 56 miles per gallon. I've been getting 51 doing my mixed school run, which is a bit of motorway stuff, a little bit of town stuff, or mostly town stuff, to be honest. And it is really good. It's honestly one of the best powertrains, hybrid ones, I've ever used. And the gearbox nerds, you'll be dismayed to hear it's got a CVT gearbox, which is like a scooter gearbox. It stands for continuously vocal transmission, because typically you put your foot down, it makes a load of noise and you don't really go anywhere very fast. But this is so good, I didn't know it had a CVT until I looked it up. It's seamless, it works really well, and it feels quick as well. There's no waiting for the power to come in. It just whooshes you off quite quickly on a wave of torque, and it's about 7.9 seconds to 60. So Honda, you are an engine company again. You've made a really good hybrid one. I should of course have pointed out that you can drive on electric power alone. It's very good at town speeds at keeping you on electric power alone, even though it's only got a small 1-point-something kilowatt-hour battery. And I've actually driven it on electric power alone at 55 miles an hour. Self-charging hybrids can't normally do that, so well done, Honda. You're getting too much praise. I'm going to have to say something nasty in a minute, like smells of cow poo. Not the car, the cow poo that I'm standing in. At the start of the video, I said Honda has made the Civic feel a lot posher, but it's inside where you feel it most. It's honestly like you're stepping up from the Butlins of the old car to Centre Parks in here. Everything's just more premium, like the honeycomb grille on the dashboard, which houses little air vents, which use these joysticks to control. They're a little bit plasticky, but is quite a cool, neat thing. Even the smaller airbag on the steering wheel makes it feel posher. I've got a digital dashboard in this advanced model. You don't get it in the lower spec sport model, but you do get this infotainment system, which for once in a Honda feels modern. It's responsive. It is easy to use. I can't see the pixels, and it's got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And again, because I'm in an advanced one, I've also got a wireless charging mat, and also 2 USB-A's down here, a 12-volt there, cup holders, storage under here, decent sized door bins, they're not lined with felt, and a glove box that is really full of manual. It's not a very useful space in the glove box, but yeah, I've also got a sunroof because it's the advanced model, but it's just a lovely feeling thing, and I've got physical climate control buttons. It's honestly really, really good in here. I would say almost feels as nice as an Audi. My favourite thing though is the D button to put it into drive has got a really satisfying depth to it. It's like you're pushing it down into the bowels of the car to put the gearbox into action or something. Now, by extending the wheelbase by 35mm, Honda should have given us more back seat space, and I think they have. You can see what it looks like with 2 child seats in there, but I'm going to hop in as well to see if I can fit behind my driving position like some kind of human driving centipede. It's got physical child locks. Look at that. Yeah. Right, that is me sitting inside of behind myself, and I've got plenty of knee room, plenty of foot room, but headroom is a little bit lacking. That sloping roof line, my head is up there somewhere touching the ceiling. I'm 6'3", so yeah, it's fine as long as I don't try and, you know, completely sit up. I've got 2 USB-A's in here, so connectivity is decent. There is a bit of a hump in the middle of the floor, so your middle seat passengers might be playing footsie with you, which if it's your granny, it's probably not what you want. Door pockets is a big size, so you can fit a big litre bottle in there. Otherwise, it's pretty good. I should point out this car has got the upgraded Bose sound system because it's an advanced model and we get that as standard here in the UK. But what has really impressed me about this car is how it drives. So let's go and drive it before that car, which is a Honda Jazz, runs over my tripod. I've also got to wipe the cow poo off my feet. Today's going really well. Right, let's go for a drive in the new Civic. You put the foot on the brake, hit the start button. I've said that a million times in the past couple of years because it's true of every car with keyless ignition. The engine fires to a steady idle to kind of charge the batteries and keep things ticking over as you pull away. But sometimes you do just start up and you're off on electric power alone. But yeah, let's go anyway. I can talk about the next big thing with this car, which is not its turning circle. It's the fact that you sit really nice and low in it. I couldn't believe it when I got in it. There you go, look, the engine stopped. The seating position, your hip point, if you're being nerdy, is really low. You open the door and you get in, you feel like you're dropping down. So if you are less able, or if you're a bit older than me, then you might struggle getting in and out a little bit, just because you do feel like you're getting into a sports car. The seats are easy to get into, but it's just a bit of a drop, and that does bode well, again, for the Type R version. Other things I've noticed in a week of living with this car is it's incredibly comfortable. Like, it's only got a small battery that weighs 35 kilos, and it only weighs 1.5 tons, so it's not having to thrash its springs like a cheap brothel bed. I can't believe I said that. But yeah, it basically is comfortable over bumps. So that's what you need to know about that. But anyway, we're going to get some dual carriageway. And there I'm going to get up to 70 miles an hour and talk about comfort, MPG, things like that. So let's go. Brothel beds. Oh God, that was awful, roadie. Right, I'm going to accelerate from 40 up to 70 miles an hour, and I want you to listen. Don't know if you can hear that. The engine is quite quiet, but it does feel like it's using a normal gearbox. It goes bam. So it's kind of got fake gears programmed into that CVT. And like I said, I didn't really know it had a CVT gearbox. But anyway, let's talk about general refinement. I'd say road noise in this car is about average. It's not especially hushed. I think an Audi A3 is much quieter on this bit of tarmac, but it's not terrible. And this is an especially bad bit of tarmac. Yeah, it's just very easy to drive, and the view out is even quite good. Most modern cars have got a big blind spot at the back. This one is lessened slightly by having small extra windows on the rear quarters, but yeah, it's fine. In terms of fuel economy, as I said, I've been getting 51 mpg on average in this car, and I think you could easily get up to 56 if you didn't boot it everywhere like I do. It's got gear shift paddles. The left one, basically, you can add several levels of brake regeneration for the electric motor, but the annoying thing is, it's quite nice, but when you come to a stop and start again, it cancels your setting. So if you want to have regeneration again, you've got to get clicking on the paddle. You can't just leave it set up, as far as I can work out anyway, in a one-pedal driving mode, which is a little bit of a shame. But that's quite boring to talk about. Let's get to a country road and find out if it's going to be Civic or civilized or let's go there. Let's just go. I've run out of words. It's the weekend, I'm cold. Shouldn't be complaining. I'm still alive. Right, I'm on a twisty country road now, and the Civic handles really, really nicely. And I don't know if it's just because I've been overexposed to SUVs of late, but this car really does feel sporty. It just doesn't lean in the corners, it just grips and it goes round, and it's actually quite fun to drive. You'd follow sports cars down a road in this and you wouldn't be having as much noisy fun as them, but it just flows really well, and it's got really nice suspension that soaks up the bumps just as much as you'd want it to, but you still feel connected, and it doesn't bounce around like a big heavy electric car. Honda knows how to make a car drive well, and they've done it in this. I'm going to stop saying this after this, but excited for the Civic Type R. It's meant to be really good. Should we try sport mode? I haven't even done sport mode. This car's on normal dampers. You can't get adaptive dampers as far as I know. So yeah, it just rides well, and that sharpens up the throttle and the steering, whatever. Yeah, sport mode just makes the engine a bit gruffer and makes it a bit, I don't know, makes the gearbox feel a little bit sportier. Not really worth it, to be honest. I would just leave it in normal. Speaking of normal things, let's go back to normal Tim and his normal lay-by to do a normal conclusion. Normal. In conclusion, I really do think this new Civic is the best normal car Honda has put out in the best part of a decade, frankly, and I can't wait to try the Type R version. But this just does everything really well. It's got one of the best hybrid engines I've ever used. It does decent MPG, it's spacious, it's roomy, but the big thing is, I think it now has surpassed Volkswagen in terms of interior quality, usability, and all the rest of it, which is crazy. I never thought I would be saying that about a Honda, given their track record of infotainment systems, but just the look, the feel, the gadgets you get as standard. I know it's 35 grand for the one you want, but to be honest, I think you could spec a Golf up to that, and this does most things better. It's bigger, it's roomier. It's probably my family hatchback of choice at the moment right now. So yeah, well done, Honda. There's an element of surprise in my voice, but you've smashed it, and I think it looks great as well. But anyway, thank you for watching. If you have found this helpful, please hit like, and do consider subscribing, because there's plenty more very professional car reviews without any cow poo coming soon. Oh yeah, and the Type R one, where I guess it's going to be a similar review to this, except I go, ah! a lot more. I don't think anyone needs that, but subscribe anyway.